Hello and welcome to Café New Canadians. Café New Canadians is a virtual chat series through which we discuss topics that matter to immigrants to Canada and would help them navigate life and career here in Canada. Our today's topic is transitioning into Canadian workplace as a newcomer. That's always a big challenge when somebody is landing into Canada, and to get a job and how to excel in their job is always a big challenge and a difficult task. So we'll be discussing this topic today. And as you know that Café New Canadians is brought to you by New Canadians, which is a TV and web show featuring information that is trustworthy information about the resources that is helpful for immigrants, especially for all those who are who want to settle in Canada and to excel in their education and in their career and as an entrepreneur as well. So you can follow us on our social media platforms and especially on our website that is newcanadians.tv. And if you are in Canada, you can watch us on Omni Television. So for all the updates, you can follow us on all the social media platforms available. And this session is brought to you by Next Stop Canada. We are collaborating with Next Stop Canada for this session. And there would be a very good session at the end of today's discussion, panel discussion. So keep watching us. My name is Sherdil Khan, and I'm the moderator for today's session. And now I would welcome our guests as well. And just wanted to let you know that today's session is about all the newcomers who are coming to Canada or already in Canada, how they can excel, what are the things that they can follow to excel in their career. And as a newcomer, what are the aspects of Canadian workplace? What are the ethics of the Canadian workplace to adopt and excel in their careers? So we'll be talking about that. And let's welcome our guest today. We have with us Debarati Mukherjee and Sankalp Mehta. Debarati Mukherjee is a digital marketing mentor, and Sankalp Mehta is accounting mentor. So I welcome you both. How are you guys?
All good.
All good. Thanks, Sherdil, for introducing us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And for all those who are joining us from YouTube and from Zoom, do send us your questions, and we'll be happy to answer all the questions that you are sending us on Zoom from the Zoom question section. And also who are watching on YouTube, you can send us your questions via YouTube chat section. So let's start the discussion. And Debarati, I will start with you. So tell us about yourself and how was your journey coming to Canada, and then we'll dive into the detail.
Sure. First of all, thank you to Next Stop Canada as well as New Café Indians for giving me the opportunity to come before you guys today. I'm the marketing director with A5. It is a Salesforce Ventures portfolio company and one of the market leaders in Salesforce system implementations across the globe. My stint with A5 started a year back, but before that I was working with another IT company in Canada. But I started my career not as an IT or not as a marketing person at all. I never dreamt that I would be someone like this. I always dreamt to be a journalist. And the dream to be a journalist started when I was a small child. Like I started writing for newspapers when I was in grade 3. And from there on, I started writing, which got published in different newspapers as kids columns, basically. And then eventually I pursued it. My father was my biggest inspiration in this respect. I would say it was kind of I used to write letters to the editors on different subjects that I was interested in different topics, and cover events which were happening in my school. I used to write it, and back in those days, we did not have access to computers or stuff like that. So I used to write using a pen and paper, and my dad he used to, whenever he used to go to office, every day I used to put those chits inside an envelope and give it to him. And his responsibility was to pick them up and post them. My dad knew probably where he was posting those, but he never came back to me to ask, like, it might not be up on a newspaper. Why are you trying? It's a trivial attempt. He never did that. Instead, he gave me an impression that he doesn't know whom I'm posting to, kind of. And the first day when I saw my name on the newspaper, I shouted out of joy and I went and hugged my mom. She was cooking a breakfast for us. Ours was a very busy family. Both my parents were working. I had a younger sibling and we were both in school. So my brother went to school and my mom was packing my lunchbox next morning for school. And I was like, Mom, see, I've got my name printed on the newspaper. My name, my class, and my school's name. 3 important things. My mom, she was like, very normal, like most moms, kind of a thing, who was oblivious of the fact that it was me. She was like, it's not you. It might be some other Debarati, because Debarati in India is a very common name. So I was like, Mom, but Debarati Mukherjee? She said, Mukherjee is a common surname too. I'm like, but what about the grade and the school? And then she was like, but I don't believe, is it you? How come you're writing so nicely that it's getting published in the newspaper? I said, like, well, I wrote it. And then my parents took it up to my school. My teachers took it up. And then I became a sensation all of a sudden inside the school. Like, everybody started thinking that, oh, she's some great honcho poncho kind of a thing. But it started that ways. And then I became an official writer with the Telegraph, which is in India. And I started writing for the Telegraph in schools. It was a kids edition where I had the opportunity. I still thank my mentors over there who gave me that opportunity that day. I chased my dreams of interviewing celebrities, doing real life stories, covering different news and information around the world. And it started from there. But then I had a lot of impediments on my way. As a young woman, I was forced in many times, like, hey, you know what, journalism is not a career for you. And I still battled to the most that I can, and I could. But post-marriage, I knew that probably if I had to choose between a family and my dreams, what is important to me? And that was a time when I had to take that very toughest decision of my life that, okay, I need to kill someone to grow someone. I wanted to grow my family. So I actually had to kill the journalism tryst inside me. And eventually I became a content writer, editor. I moved from being a hardcore journalist to the world of content and writing and editing, because that was what my forte was. And then it continued for some time. And then I moved from content writing to, I found that probably IT is a niche where I would like to join and do some good writing stuff. So I started writing I work for different agencies, different places and across different industries too. And then finally I decided that, okay, let me start my career into digital marketing. I was in UK before moving to Canada 5 years back. So I was on a mat leave in that time. I had a little baby girl at that point of time. So I was on my mat leave, still writing a few articles, doing some things, just because I never wanted to be a stagnant person. So I was like, okay, motherhood is important, but that doesn't mean that who I am just totally gets wiped off. And I still believe that fact that I thank my husband for giving me that encouragement all the time that, you are who you are. That's exactly more important than being the mom, being a wife, being somebody's daughter-in-law, being somebody's daughter. These are important aspects of life, but you should be who you are and not like, be someone kind of. So yeah, that's something I would say.
Amazing story. And I would add in there, once a journalist, always a journalist. In the media industry, we call it like this. So we'll definitely talk about your transition from journalism to digital marketing, definitely. And I would welcome Sankalp now to share his story, his journey coming to Canada and adopting the field of accounting and getting a place as a mentor in the industry. So Sankalp, floor is all yours.
Thanks, Sherdil. Before I introduce myself, I'd like to congratulate Debarati. It was an amazing, inspiring story.
Thank you.
It really touched me. And the way you transition from journalism to digital marketing, that's amazing. That's really inspiring. Then I'd like to thank Café New Canadians and Next Stop Canada for giving me this opportunity. I always, I'm in audit or finance profile for a couple of years now. I was working with Deloitte back in India. I worked with Deloitte for almost 3 years. I was part of audit and assurance team. I was always a numbers person. So since I passed my school, or even before that, I always wanted to get into something that's around numbers. So I really like doing that. So I ended up becoming a chartered accountant in India, considered a prestigious profession in India. So that profession led me into an audit assurance profile, and I worked with Deloitte back in India. I was doing good, but I wanted to move out of India. Not that I really I still am proud of being an Indian, but I wanted to go global. I wanted to have a global experience, so that drove me to Canada. And I had a couple of my friends here. I had some relatives here, so I thought, okay, maybe why not give it a shot. So I came here, quit my job. And when I quit my job and when I decided to move to Canada, my parents were a bit hesitant. They were like, okay, you know what? You're doing good and everything in your life. Why do you want to quit your job and then move to a new country and then start looking for a job? I think in my case, I got a bit lucky. I quit my job there. I started looking. First of all, I had to break a myth or break a taboo that I was always surrounded with a myth that, you know what, you should not start looking for a job when you are in India. When you move to Canada, when you land here, then you should start looking for a job. There's no point if you start looking for a job when you are back there.
Yes.
But I really wanted to break that, and I did, and I was successful in doing that. So not just one, I was able to secure 2 to 3 offer letters when I was back in India, and those were with Big Four, like Big Four accounting firms. So that was I was
So
thrilled.
what did you exactly do in that case? Like, because this is a big myth, and everybody is like concerned about like how to proceed for jobs before coming to Canada, because this is a very difficult task. So employers do ask like, why? If you're not here in Canada, how can you be sure that you will be able to join us or even join us for the interview? So how was your experience for that?
Yeah, so I think it's about timing as well. So I talk to a lot of people on LinkedIn or other social media platforms who are planning to move to Canada, but they start their search way ahead of moving to Canada. So let's say if someone has applied for permanent residency and they are going to wait for another year or so, they start applying for the jobs at that time. But I think that's not a good time. And you, like as an employee or as a prospective employee, I won't be able to convince the prospective employer that I'm going to join. So by the time I got my permanent residency, and I had 2 months of span between me being in India and landing here. So I had a 2 months gap. So I started looking for jobs during that duration, 2 months. So it was easy for me to convince the employer that, you know what, I got my permanent residency and I'm going to land in 2 months, because they have people here, right? They have good people, they have good talent in Canada. So they don't want for you to come in like an year or so and then hire you. They'll be better off there if they hire someone from Canada. But if you convince themselves well enough that you'll be joining them, say in a month or 2 months, then I think it's good. And the other thing is the way you approach the job market. That's very important. So I don't know, I'm not in favor of this, but every country has a different resume format. So what people do is, so if I have an Indian format of resume, if I'm using that resume for Canadian employers, sometimes, or I would say most of the times, it doesn't work. So first step is to tailor your resume that meets the need of Canadian resume format, and then to include the experience that the prospective employer see see some value in you. So I have seen a lot of resumes. They are good. People have done good jobs and everything, but they fail to portray that in their resume.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing is they always have a fear in their mind that if I don't have a Canadian experience, a Canadian employer is not going to hire me. But that's not the case. We are talking at a good time right now. We recently hired someone from Nepal. She moved to the country in February, and she's able to secure a job in our company. So going back to my experience, I'm a manager in finance with a company called Chemtrade Logistics. It's a
Yeah.
Canadian chemical manufacturing company. It's a public company listed on Toronto Stock Exchange. And I joined this company 2 years back as a senior financial analyst. Things went well. It was a great experience working with the people, especially in our company. There's a lot of focus on multicultural employees, diversity. So because of that, I got a chance to work with people from different cultures, different geographies, different countries. So that's been an amazing experience. And
Exactly.
I got recently promoted to a manager role. So that's been amazing. And
Congratulations. That's great news. And
yeah,
yes, definitely. Yeah. All the things that you did, we'll definitely talk about this later in our program. Debarati, you said that you came from UK and you were transitioning from journalism to digital marketing here in Canada. So how was your initial phase coming to Canada, finding a job? Did you also follow the strategy that Sankalp mentioned, that before coming to Canada, you were able to secure some of the offer letters, or you just came
Yeah.
here and then started doing it?
No. So my situation was a bit difficult and different than what Sankalp mentioned, because I didn't move in very recently. I moved in the time when 5-6 years back, when Canada was not that open to too many jobs, like the situation what it is right now. It's right now the market is more for a job seeker. Like we say, the market is, a housing markets are like, buyer's market, seller's market. Right now, the jobs market in Canada is more for the job seeker, not for the employer. So like you can always take a note and tell your employer that, hey, I'm not ready to come to work. I don't feel comfortable. I want to work from home. And your employer has no option right now but to support you in what you do. So right now we are living in that kind of an age. But when I moved from UK because my husband was basically on a work permit over there. And as my career, if I wanted to start, I couldn't restart my career in UK because of visa issues. I couldn't restart my career back in UK. So as a supportive husband, that's why I always thank my husband for everything. As a very supportive husband, he didn't bother to fulfill only his career. He wanted to give me a notch again on my career a bit. So he gave me 2 papers in my hand and asked me to sign which one can I pick up, a PR to Australia or a PR to Canada. So I worked as a journalist with Deutsche Welle, one of the international broadcasters of Germany, before marrying exactly. So I was like, hey, you know what? I've done too many stories about life in Australia. I don't want to blame someone on camera over here, but I saw life in Canada was much merrier than that of life in Australia. So I was like, given a chance, Canada should it be, not Canada could be, but Canada should be. So he was like, think again, Australia is closer home. Canada is a bit far away. Do you still want it? I said like, yeah, fine, for a better career for both of us, because he was an expat. If I go back, I still have full faith and love for my country back home in India. But if we went back to India, the reason was we would probably be separated for careers. Like I had to settle down with my children in one place while my husband had to move on with his job. So that was a major reason why we thought of settling abroad, and Canada was the best option at that point of time before us.
So how Canada treated you, like when you landed here? So what was your experience finding a job here?
Yeah, so we got a PR, but I was not ready to leave everything. Like many of our friends at that time, they left everything and they moved to Canada to start a new life. I was a bit hesitant on that. I told my husband that we're doing good all throughout. We just shouldn't just leave everything and move all of a sudden. So our story was a bit different. We planned a visit to see Canada with a PR to validate the PR and do the landing and do all those things. And while doing that, I have a family over here in Canada, one of our relatives. We stayed with them. We used their home address and we got a SIM from Canada and took it with us to UK. So those 6 months when my husband had to give his service notice period over there in UK. And then we were planning to move. So those 3 months, he started looking for the job first. Because I had a child with me, my responsibility was to settle my child first and then start looking for a job. I did get a few offers, but they were mostly in Vancouver. And my husband was getting offers mostly in Toronto. And we knew that Toronto would be a better place. That's why we stopped, I stopped. He got a job offer before even landing to Canada with RBC and a few other companies. He picked up RBC. Then once he started working, my daughter secured her place in a nice daycare. As a mom, I was like, okay, fine, my jobs are done. Now I can focus on myself. And I took 2 months to look out for jobs on my own. And I was very happy that I could get my first break within 2 months itself. And
what are the strategies, if you can share any specific tips?
Before even moving to Canada, one thing which I learned is that people in the CV, which Sankalp mentioned, that your CV needs to be tailored into the Canadian style of formatting. Okay. And along with that, the best way a recruiter can understand whether you are in Canada or whether you are based overseas was that if you have a Canadian address on your CV, and a Canadian number, because nobody would like to call you up in another phone number, which is not of Canada, because nobody wants to dial an international candidate and say, hey, hello, would you like to join our company? We would like to consider you for an interview. Nobody does that. So we need to be realistic. So we need to have a Canadian number. That is the best option for us to reach out to an employer. And then the CV is the second best option. The other thing that I think is very important is to understand what is going on in the market over there. How many, just to echo what Sankalp said, he was very lucky in one sense because he has a niche skill. Accounting is still very niche, but digital marketing is not niche. I tell that to everyone who contact me as a mentor, or friends back home who want to make a career in digital marketing and wants to shift here in Canada, that marketing world is still, there are a lot of biases in our world where preference of color is given, definitely, because people over here, it's more of convincing people of your same race, same color, kind of that type of issue comes in still over here. So marketing is not a niche skill. There are a lot of people over here in Canada who are doing it. So in order to stay abreast, you need to have some specific set of skills. And that I would say is technology oriented. So learn more what are the technologies that are used in these days in Canadian job market when it comes to digital marketing, what technologies they are using, what strategies they are using, companies. Try imbibing those in your CV. And just not imbibing, you need to learn also, because people who interview you, they are smart people sitting over there. They will not just see that.
What are you saying? You should be, your resume and your skills should reflect
who you are and what you do. Who you are and what you do. It should not just be a copy paste. I have seen, as a marketing director, when we do recruitments for different places inside our company also, I have seen a lot of people copy the job description. It's a very common thing. A lot of people give this advice that just copy the job description, what's said over there, and make sure that it tailors to your CV. But I wouldn't say that's the right approach.
It's a big no in the Canadian job market.
Copy it, do it only when you know it. If you don't know it, then don't do it. Because those people are smart. And if you come into the bad books of someone, you are gone. That's what I would say.
Sankalp, you were lucky enough to secure job offers before landing to Canada, but there are so many people who do struggle before coming to Canada, and always when they are here in Canada, they struggle to get the job, secure a job. So what were your challenges and how did you overcome, and what do you suggest to all those who are struggling to get a job here?
No, sure, for sure. Talking about the past, it sounds like it was easy for me. I was able to secure a job, but I had to put in a lot of efforts. I had to network with a lot of people. I was being interviewed after my office time. So let's say I was doing my 9 to 8 in India, and then once I used to end my day, I used to start researching about the company. So talking about my profile specifically, so let's say I am into finance and accounting. The step one was I used to prepare a list. As Debarati mentioned, it's very important to know the market first. So I remember the first step that I took. I prepared a list of all the CPA firms, all the good companies that are currently hiring. The next step was to find, to go to their websites to see if they have posted any jobs. If they have posted any jobs, okay, who has posted a job? Connect them or connect with the relevant person over LinkedIn. Talk to them directly. I've seen a couple of people who are hesitant in connecting with people, in communicating with people. So I think that's a very big barrier. You should be very open to having conversation with the people. And I moved in 2018, so I would say things were not as open as they are, especially in pandemic. Everything is virtual, right? So we are meeting virtual. A lot of people are having coffee meetings or coffee catch-ups, virtual coffee catch-ups, which was not possible. I mean, I could not think of those things at that time. So I think it's always a key to connect with people over LinkedIn, then look for jobs over Indeed. And so let's say I was connecting with not just the recruiters, I was also connecting with the partners at those CPA firms. I was connecting, let's say, with the CFOs or with the finance directors if I was applying for the jobs at industry. So I think I really strategized it well. I prepared a list of the companies, connected with the people, look for the websites, look for the job portals of those companies to look for the jobs, and then look for Indeed. So at that time, since I was in India, I didn't really use a lot of tools to search for jobs. But I can't remember of other platforms where I searched for jobs. But Indeed and LinkedIn, they were very beneficial for me. But since I had to look for other jobs, so I was always being told that, and that's a fact, because a lot of jobs are not advertised out there. So
Exactly.
that was the thing earlier, and that was the thing now. A lot of jobs are not advertised outside. So it's very important.
How did you find those jobs who are not advertised? Through connecting with people?
Connecting with people was really important. So I was specifically looking for people who are, let's say, chartered accountants in India, and they have moved to Canada maybe an year back or a couple of years back, and I still have good connections with those people. I connected at right time, right before moving to Canada. At that time, idea was not to find a job through them, but idea was to connect with them, understand the market in a better manner. And since so they were working with different companies, so they were working with different CPA firms, and they were always, so let's say I'm working for Chemtrade. We always have weekly internal opportunities email that we get. So before fulfilling that, before sending those opportunities to the market, they're always advertised within the company.
Exactly.
So I think that was very important. So if you have good connections with the people, and if you have a good conversation with the people,
would definitely help.
Yeah, that really helps. Yeah.
Yes. So Debarati, there were two different challenges when you were coming to Canada. One is to secure a job, and also to secure a job in your field, journalism. So the big steps that you took coming to Canada, you switched from journalism to digital marketing. So how was that transition? You start finding your job in journalism, or just you transformed yourself to get a job in digital marketing?
No, I didn't transform myself. I told you, like, initially my transition basically took place over the years in different phases. So I was kind of an all-rounder, you would say, who was into journalism, into content, into digital, into corporate communications. I have worked in all these portions of communications, I would say. But yes, when I was about to move to Canada, I got an offer from a very close, acquaintance come friend, that he would like to set up his business. It's a digital news agency business running in India, one of the private portals in India. And he wanted to set up his business in Canada. It's called India Blooms News Service. And he told me that, would you be able to spare some time and do this for us over here? I took that as my first opportunity. It was a volunteering opportunity. They offered me some more roles to it, but I was not ready for a business opportunity. Again, that's a barrier, I would say, that many of us have, that I am not a business kind of a person who can handle her own business. And I never had that entrepreneurial mindset to start my own. I have an entrepreneurial mindset to work for someone, to make somebody's business grow, but not at the cost of my own business, and as a newcomer, I had those challenges that I'm not ready for an investment. A business requires an investment. So when I was offered this role as a partner in that company to do this investment, I denied. I said, I would rather be a volunteer and work for you till the hours I don't get a job to actually qualify myself. So I would suggest many others who are on this call that, volunteering is one of the best opportunities. Networking is one of the best opportunities. Money is essential. It's one of the very important commodities of her life. But when it comes to starting your career out fresh, money should not be considered the first option. It should be the secondary option. Experience should be considered your first option.
So how was your experience as a volunteer? What did you learn? And
I actually went around. I did not know how to drive. I took TTC, Go Transit, Brampton Transit, Mississauga Transit, all of that. And I scouted all throughout GTA, covering many events that for that newspaper. As a journalist, I used to cover for those events. I used to do meetings with different clients to set up the business, to make sure that the business rolls in with some kind of products and money around that I could secure. And that basically gave me an edge to put in my CV, that so-called Canadian experience, that I was doing something in Canada. I was not sitting idle and just looking for a job. I do not want to demean anyone, but job search itself is a full-time job. I was a mother. That was my permanent job. I had to take care of this job. As a volunteer, I was working 24/7 for this company. And I also had to look out for a job, making sure all those tips and tricks that you need to format your CV accordingly. You need to know who you are talking to. You need to know about the company where you're applying to. So I know there had been so many times, I was like, God, just give me 24 hours is not enough. Give me some more hours. But I never had that opportunity to add more hours to my day, but somehow maintain those 24 hours in the right way. It's a very hard time when you come. It's a very hard time. I don't want to paint a very rosy picture to anyone, but along with that, I would like to say now with the remote working and things being opening up, in a hybrid model, it's still easier to catch up with people and secure a job, even when you are abroad. But that is for people who are coming in the marketing, media, communications fields, I would say it's 5% of the people could bag that sitting in their home countries. But for the rest, you need to come, you need to volunteer, learn how to volunteer. Actually gathering, when they say Canadian experience, I do not blame the people over here that, that's a myth. Canadian experience is all bullshit. I don't want to say that. Canadian experience is also important because when I came from Asia, I worked in Asia, I worked in Europe, in big companies over there, media companies, conglomerates. So I had seen the difference in work culture.
Yes.
In Europe, in Europe, you are valued for who you are. The talent you bring to the table, that is more important.
Yes, that's a very big point, and yes, definitely there is a big difference in South Asian job market and in Canadian American market. So I will talk about that, but we have a question. So Sankalp, one of our audience member is asking, he's saying like, communication is very important while you are connecting with people, or you are going for the interview, or working as an employee in any of the company. The language barrier that we have, mostly people coming to Canada don't have that English skills. So how do you suggest all those people who doesn't have that skill, language skill, that the communication skill? So how would you recommend what to follow in that case?
Yeah, I think that's a big challenge when it comes to language barrier. But I think if you have right skills, that overpowers that language barrier. So as I mentioned earlier, I have worked with people from Nigeria. I have worked with people from Mexico. They are not able to communicate as good as a Canadian person, or I would say they're not good while communicating in English as we Indians are, or I would say most of the Indians are. But still, I would say if you have good and relevant experience, you're able to project your thoughts. I think that's more important. But yeah, again, if someone is really struggling with the language barrier, I think it's good to watch some English movies, uh, talk with, communicate with people. Don't be hesitant, and if needed, take some online courses. So there are a lot of online courses available at this point of time. So I think there are a lot of resources which they can refer to. I would say I did not have to refer to those resources, but I'm aware of people who actually do it. And I have seen people who were struggling back in India for their IELTS, and they had experience and everything for permanent residency. Like they were able to meet their score, a CRS score, but they were not doing well in their IELTS exam. So I think it's good to take some online. It's not something. So language is not
Does
something.
this communication barrier, this language barrier, affects in getting up the ladder when you are working as in the job market already in the Canada? So does this affect
And I can tell you one small story that I have seen in my life. I worked with someone. She's a very great lady, very, very talented. Um, she was from Israel, and she had a good mathematical knowledge. She joined us as a I think, if I'm not mistaken, she joined us as a technology person in some role. She couldn't speak English very well, and that was the reason a lot of people were like, I don't want to work with her. She can't speak. But I was working with her, and I saw one thing, that she is very talented. She can understand things. She cannot speak well. She used to do the broken languages. And I gave her one suggestion. I told her, language is not something where you can just read a few books and you're ready to do it. You need to practice the art of talking. And for that, you need human beings around you who can practice that language with you. So the best resource I would say is, once you land in Canada, YMCA has excellent resources, excellent ways to get in language training, whether you want to learn English or you would learn to progress the other language in Canada, which is French, equally very important. So if you want to progress in that case, come to YMCA. They have language assessment centers where they assess you according to your language skills and then put you into right programs where you can learn at your own pace with people of your own style. Like, you won't be judged over there. That's what I had seen. I had not taken the course, but I had seen people doing it. So I know how nice people are at YMCA, and they are always ready to teach people and make them acclimatize into this Canadian work diaspora. So, and
Yes.
second thing that Sankalp mentioned is that, like, if you have the right skill sets, language is not exactly a barrier. You can progress. That's there. I have people in my team who do not speak really great language. I had worked with people who do not speak great languages, but they are good in their skills, and that is more important when you come to
Yes. And I
valuation.
would request all our audience members to follow New Canadians because we bring all these resources that are being mentioned here, and also nextstopcanada.ca is a great resource to get all the help that you need in terms of your careers and settlement. Sankalp, one thing. Debarati talked about volunteering as initial phase when you were when you are a newcomer. So one more thing, some of the newcomers are willing to accept the jobs in their different fields, not related to their experience that they had back in their country. So how do you think they are good enough to get into their field, and what are the things that they can follow to transit from the different field to their field of knowledge?
Yeah, I think I have a very good example on this. So I had a friend who was a chartered accountant back in India. He moved here. Maybe he was not working for a big corporate, or maybe he was working for a small CA firm back in India. He moved here. He was a chartered accountant, a good designation back there. He worked with a call center for a couple of months. He had to take up that job. He moved, I think, at the same time when I moved back in 2018. So he had to take up that job. A lot of people do that. A lot of people work with Walmart. A lot of people work with telecommunication companies, say Rogers or any other superstore. So they do that. So he did that as well. I think the key is you always need to focus on what you want to get into. Either you want to change your profile or you want to stick to the same profile. So let's say he was a chartered accountant. Either he has to understand, or he has to decide whether he wants to stick to the same profile, like accounting, finance, or he wants to move to IT. If he wants to move to IT, there are a lot of courses, a lot of resources that they can refer to, they can work on to strengthening their skills in the profile they want to get into. Or let's say if he wants to stick to the same profile, finance and accounting. So since I'm in finance and accounting, it's a kind of regulated profile. You need to have a Canadian CPA. So it's not like, I would say, IT. It's not like engineering. So if you're developing a software in India and you move to Canada, you're doing the same thing. I understand culture is different. People are different. But at the end of the day, it's not regulated, right? Like engineering is not regulated. HR, it's regulated. Yeah, I think HR is regulated, but like engineering, it's not regulated. So in my profession, I was a CA. Maybe I'm doing the same thing here, but something that really matters is a designation if it's a regulated profession. So a doctor might be doing the same thing back in India, and he's doing the same thing in Canada. He might have undergone the same education or same experience, but still it's a regulated profession. So I've seen a lot of dentists, I've seen a lot of people doing odd jobs or not doing the jobs of their profession, of their profile, just because their job is regulated, and they need to do a bridging course. So I think the bridging courses become very important, and that's where the bridging courses come into picture. So you need to really focus on what bridging courses do you need to go through, what's the process, and what resources do you want to refer to. So in the case that I just mentioned, one of my friends, so he went through the CPA program. No doubt he was working for a call center at that time, but not just me, a lot of other people also help him understand the importance of a bridging course, so as to get a Canadian designation, CPA designation. So I'm not saying it'll be equally applicable for engineering, or it'll be equally applicable for someone from, let's say, marketing or digital marketing. But I can talk about finance and accounting. So CPA is really important. So I think during that,
one quick question, if you can add in the reply. How was your experience? We talked about the difference of workplace culture in South Asia or any other country, if you compare it with Canada. So how was your experience and how did you overcome that?
I think when I joined my office, like when I joined in Toronto, the work culture, I got a culture shock on day one. Work culture is totally different. I don't want to say this, but it's super professional. Like I was in India. If I compare the work culture here, it's super, super professional. A lot of people might have friends at their workplace, but what I have seen so far, you don't make a lot of friends at your workplace. So your workplace people are your workplace people. They're your colleagues. They're not your friends. So I've seen a lot of people getting personal on day one. I have experienced this with some of the new employees that have joined our company. They get personal at a very initial stage. It's not a bad thing, but it's just, I would say it's not a Canadian thing. It's very professional. You have to have a very professional relationship with your superior, with your junior, with your colleagues. So I think that's really important. Productivity. So if you're at work for, let's say, 8 hours, you'll be working for 7.5 hours. So you really have to be very efficient, very productive. So yeah, I think that's a major change.
And Debarati, your experience working in Canada, did you get also the culture shock at your very first day?
No, I did not get any culture shocks because, as I mentioned to you, that I actually worked in Europe. I worked in South Asia, and then I moved to Canada. So to me, it wasn't actually a culture shock. What I understood was that, the type of work and the way of work is very different than what we used to do back home in India and the way we should do over here in Canada. People expect you to not be late to your work. If you should be relevant of your time. And that's not like in India, it's a very common thing that you come at my will and you go at my will. Here, it is not like that. Here It is like you come at the stipulated hours and you go at the stipulated hours. Your manager or your superior do not expect you to be your work hours are between 9 and 5 and you are expected, oh, you're such a wonderful employee, you are sitting till 7. No, they think you are such a dumbass person because you are sitting till 7 when your colleagues finish the work at 5 o'clock, which means you are not efficient. Your boss will not take you as someone, he's a super person. No, he's a failure in that way around. If he's taking to work for more than hours. Right. Yes, there are days when you need to work more, but that's not the culture over here. So that's one thing that, I like about this culture, that you are valued for who you are and you are not valued. You're not considered as an employee by the fact that, you're coming as a slave, you have to do this work and that work and finish everything. You have to slog at work. It's not that. Canadian workplaces, one good thing about European Canadian workplaces is that you can enjoy work. If you are talented, you know why you are brought to this table. If you know that answer, you deliver, you enjoy your work. I always loved doing what I wanted to. And so I enjoy every day at work, and especially the company where I'm working right now. I would say it's a marvelous place to be. You're valued for
and do you get the opportunities to grow in the workplace?
So I'll tell you one this is a very important question. A lot of people ask me and tell me this question that do you get the opportunity to grow? Yes, it all depends on the place where you are working. I was working in my previous company for almost 4 years. And in those 4 years, I got through only one promotion. I took 2 years mat leave in between. So effectively, I worked for 2 years and I got promoted. In this company, I joined last year. It's I would be turning a year old in April. So I joined as a manager digital marketing, and within 9 months, I grew into the role of director marketing. There is no biases of whether you are a woman or whether you are a man. The only thing that is valued in this company where I'm working right now at A5 is who you are and what you are bringing to the table. That is more important. And when your workplace gives you the arms and the wings to grow, to swim forward, propel your motion forward, you become you. You do not become someone. Again,
Exactly.
the way I told you in the beginning, someone working at some place. No, you become you working with them. And I do echo partially to what Sankalp mentioned, that, not being personal. Be personal with your work, not be personal with your team members in that way. So maintain your cordial relationships, but teams can also be families, because you spend a very big amount of your productive time with those people. 9 to 5 is not a small amount of time. You sleep, you eat, you do every other thing for the rest of the day with your own family. But 9 to 5 is a good amount, 8 hours you invest with somebody else, who, if you don't consider them as your, family members in some way or the other, you won't be able to make a good team.
Exactly. Before I announce, before I welcome a special guest today, I would like Sankalp to tell us about your experience as a mentor at Next Stop Canada, and how did you help people, newcomers especially?
It's been an amazing experience. So there was a time when I moved to Canada. I was doing well with my job, but there was a lack. I really wanted to help a lot of people who are moving to Canada. So I think Next Stop Canada was maybe second or third platform where I started helping people. I was already catering to a lot of requests on LinkedIn. A lot of people connect with me on LinkedIn who are newcomers or who are planning to move. And then I'm also working with CPA Ontario for helping people who are specifically into finance and accounting, and people who are moving from different countries and they want to pursue CPA Canada. Talking about YMCA specifically, Next Stop Canada, it's been an amazing experience. I would say it's a bit slowed down now because of the immigration, because of pandemic. A lot of people are not coming in. But initially, when I started working with YMCA, I used to have a lot of questions from people moving from different countries, people who have more than 15 or 20 years of experience. I was amazed to see those people who are having more than 15, 20 years of experience. Still, they want to leave their life back there and move to Canada, seeing an amazing opportunity. It's a growing land, right? Like a land of opportunities. So people still who have 15, 20 years of experience, they're planning to move to Canada. So I think it's been an amazing experience. Talking to people from different backgrounds with different experience, so people who have just started in their career or people who have I would say 4 times, 5 times than my experience. So and other thing that I really liked, I had to do some research to help those people. So not that I'd have answer to all those questions, but I think that really helped me to do some more research so that I can deliver better and make their transition even more smooth.
Exactly. Debarati, your experience as a mentor?
It was an amazing experience. I would say, giving everyone the wings to fly along with yours, and having a team of people who can fly with you, work with you, and providing them all the kind of knowledge that they need to relive their lives in this new place was amazing. I still get a few requests. Sometimes it's not from Next Stop Canada. Sometimes, as Sankalp mentioned, that it's more of LinkedIn connections, friend of friends, and stuff like that. But I do refer people to use this good platform all the time, because it's a nice platform. It has everything that you need to know even before you can move to Canada. A lot of people dream to come to Canada, but what is essential is somewhere you need to know what the real picture is about Canada. And people who are there, again, like your company also, like, you know, I've just seen through the website yesterday, you guys also provide a lot of good information about news, like, you know, where people, how people are settling down, how to settle down, what to do before, after, everything. These are like amazing job that you guys are all doing, whether it's Next Stop Canada, whether it's you guys. I would say, like,
Thank you.
way back when I started, or we started our journey, we didn't have so much of information to handle and
Right.
digest. So
Right.
that's amazing. It's very nice.
Thank you guys for this amazing session, panel discussion. I would request you to stay with us. And now I would welcome from Next Stop Canada, we have with us Rachel Ho, who is going to talk about this topic. So over to you, Rachel.
Thank you, Sherdil. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, Sherdil, and thank you, Debarati and Sankalp, for sharing your stories and experience. So my name is Rachel, and I'm the Outreach and Community Relations Team Leader at Next Stop Canada. So I initially came to Toronto in 2004 as an international student, and I stayed here since. I've been through the immigration journey myself, and I can absolutely relate to all the newcomer experience, which is why I do believe that the services Next Stop Canada offers are very important to newcomers. I believe that newcomers' settlement journeys don't start from the time they land in Canada, but as soon as they receive the approval for permanent residence. So a pre-arrival program like Next Stop Canada can help newcomers to navigate the process of preparation and planning for this important transition. For those who don't know much about what we do, Next Stop Canada is a national online pre-arrival settlement program funded by the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada to assist people who are already approved to immigrate to Canada but have not yet landed. So our program provides information and referrals on various settlement topics such as housing, education, health, employment, finance, and more to prepare you even before you land in Canada. So our services are delivered in different formats. Just to briefly introduce them, we have live chat, which is available Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can chat with an information and referral specialist and get your questions answered right away. We provide personalized settlement plan, which includes valuable settlement information according to your situation. We deliver live webinars every Wednesday and Thursday, covering a variety of topics you may want to know before you arrive in Canada. There are also many online resources available on our platform, such as informational videos, blogs, and e-learning courses. If you have questions, but you don't feel like using live chat, you also have the option to leave your questions in our topics forum, and one of our information and referral specialists will answer your question. And we have the mentors forum. So we have mentors just like Debarati and Sankalp from different professional backgrounds. There are, excuse me, so they're immigrants themselves and have successfully obtained jobs in their chosen professions. If you're from the same or similar backgrounds, you can connect with them and they will be more than happy to help you to answer any employment related questions. Lastly, we have our very unique youth program. So this program is for youth age 12 to 19. If you have children in this age range and you want them to connect with other newcomer youth and get advice on schools, volunteering, and etc., you can register them for our youth program. So in order to be eligible for Next Stop Canada services, you will need to be over 12 years old, live outside Canada, and have received approval for PR. So to get started, you can simply visit nextstopcanada.ca to fill out the registration form. Once your registration is confirmed, you will receive an email with login instructions and another email from our information and referral specialist to get started on your settlement plan. We are present on social media platforms. We have a Facebook closed group that's exclusive for our Next Stop Canada clients. It's a great place for networking, sharing information and experience with other newcomers. You can also follow us on Twitter to get live updates about immigration and settlements, and also follow us on LinkedIn for professional networking and employment-related information. We also have our Facebook main page, which is open to the public. So please search Next Up Canada and follow us on these platforms. If you have any questions, you can connect with us by either emailing me directly or to our general email address on the screen. So thank you very much for joining the Café New Canadians session today, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Back to you, Sherdil.
Thank you so much, Rachel. And yes, that is very useful information. And you can log on to the website nextstopcanada.ca and you'll get all the information that you need. Thank you so much, everybody, especially Debarati, Mukherjee, Sankalp, Mehta. Thank you so much for joining and sharing your story, sharing your journey, and Rachel for this amazing presentation. So, and also I would thank all the viewers who are joining us from YouTube and Zoom. Thank you so much for joining and for the amazing questions that you sent us. And again, this was a Café New Canadian session, and every week we bring topic that matters to new immigrants, newcomers, and we tell them how to get settled in Canada and what are the resources that are here for you. And you can follow us on newcanadians.tv. We have a newsletter, a weekly newsletter that goes out with all this information, and you can follow us on social media platforms. And if you are here in Canada, you can watch our show, New Canadians, at Omni Television. Thank you again for joining us, and bye-bye.